The miscalculation. The Solar Imperium had ruled the Orion Arm for 10,000 years. Their crystalline ships, powered by captured stars, traversed the galaxy with impunity. Thousands of species had fallen before them. Some assimilated, others eradicated. Their expansion was methodical, calculated, and without mercy. In their long history, no civilization had ever successfully challenged their dominance. When their scout ships first detected radio signals from the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star, the Imperium's high command barely took notice. Another primitive world discovering basic electromagnetic technology. The Solaran databanks already contained records of millions of such evolutionary dead ends. High Commander Zixforn reviewed the preliminary report on the blue-green world called Earth with casual disinterest. The inhabitants, humans, had achieved spaceflight but had barely ventured beyond their own moon. Their weapons were chemical and nuclear, nothing that could threaten Solaran supremacy. Their political systems were fractured, with hundreds of competing nation-states. By all standard metrics, they were at least 1,000 years away from becoming a galactic contender. Is this worth our attention? The High Commander asked his senior strategist. First Strategist Kelmira's crystalline form shimmered as she processed the data. The world occupies promising real estate, a stable star, abundant resources, favorable position at the edge of the arm. The species itself shows unusual adaptability, but lacks unity or significant technological achievement. Recommendation: Standard Cleansing Protocol. Their level of development warrants elimination rather than assimilation. They have detected our scout ships, but lack the capability to pose resistance. Zixforn authorized the operation with a casual wave of his appendage. The humans would be exterminated, and Earth would become another Solaran colony world. The decision took less than 3 minutes to make. What the Solarans didn't know was that humans had indeed detected their scout ships, 50 years earlier, to be precise. In the underground command center beneath the Cheyenne Mountain complex, Admiral Cassandra Chen stared at the holographic display showing the approaching Solaran fleet. 200 massive warships had entered the solar system, moving methodically toward Earth. They made no attempt to hide their approach, a clear sign they expected no meaningful resistance. "They've taken the bait," Chen said quietly. General Marcus Williams nodded beside her. 5 decades of careful planning. I almost can't believe it's finally happening. When humans had first detected the alien scout ships in the 2070s, the world's governments had made an unprecedented decision. Rather than announce their discovery to the public, they'd formed the secret Terran Defense Alliance. For 50 years, they had maintained a careful charade, allowing their visible technology to advance at a modest pace while channeling the majority of human innovation into hidden projects. Deep beneath the lunar surface, inside hollowed-out asteroids, and in underwater bases across Earth, humanity had built its real civilization. Quantum computing, zero-point energy, gravity manipulation, and weapons technology that would have seemed like magic to the average citizen, all developed in absolute secrecy. "Are the shield systems ready?" Chen asked. "Yes, Admiral. Planetary defense grid is at full capacity," responded Lieutenant Commander Sato, her fingers dancing over the holographic controls. "Population centers are protected. Civilian evacuation to subsurface habitats is 92% complete." Chen checked the countdown timer. 23 minutes until the Solaran fleet would be in firing range. 23 minutes until humanity would either survive or perish. "Send the coded signal to all TDA outposts," she ordered. "Operation Reckoning begins now." The Solaran attack began exactly as predicted. Their warships positioned themselves in a perfect geometric formation around Earth and began bombarding the planet's surface. Cities were vaporized, military bases annihilated, and infrastructure reduced to rubble. Or so it appeared. In reality, the planetary shield system absorbed much of the attack, while holographic projectors created the illusion of devastation. The Solarans, convinced of their overwhelming superiority, didn't bother with detailed scans. They saw what they expected to see, a helpless world being destroyed. High Commander Zixforn observed the destruction with satisfaction. The resistance is negligible, he noted. Their primitive defense systems failed almost immediately. As expected, Commander, Kelmira replied. Our models predicted a 99.8% probability of immediate surrender or collapse. Prepare the harvester ships. Once the cleansing is complete, we'll begin resource extraction. The first sign that something was wrong came 3 hours into the bombardment. A small anomaly in the sensor readings, quickly dismissed as an equipment malfunction. Then another, and another. Commander, the sensor officer reported, his crystalline form pulsing with concern. We're detecting energy signatures from Earth's moon. They don't match any known human technology. Before Zixforn could respond, the lunar surface seemed to crack open. Massive doors, previously disguised as impact craters, slid apart to reveal launch bays. From these openings emerged ships, human ships, but unlike anything the Solarans had believed humans capable of building. The lunar fleet was just the beginning. Throughout the solar system, hidden bases activated. From Mars, from the asteroid belt, from the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, and from the depths of Earth's oceans, warships emerge. Not dozens, not hundreds, but thousands. Admiral Chen watched as the holographic display filled with blue markers representing Earth's forces. All fleet commanders. This is Terran Prime. The enemy has committed to their attack pattern. Deploy as planned. Show them what humanity is truly capable of. On the Solaran command ship, alarm signals flashed as their sensors finally registered the true scope of the human response. Not the handful of primitive spacecraft they had expected, but a vast armada of warships with technology that matched or exceeded their own. Impossible, Zixforn exclaimed, his crystalline body vibrating with shock. Their level of technology. This cannot be. The data was wrong, Kelmira admitted, her voice hollow with realization. They deceived us. The first wave of Earth's fleet, led by the massive dreadnought TDS Humanity's Resolve, struck the Solaran formation with devastating precision. Advanced quantum torpedoes bypassed the alien shields as if they weren't there. Graviton beams sliced through the crystalline hulls with surgical accuracy. Admiral Chen stood calmly in the command center, directing the battle with the confidence of someone who had prepared for this moment for decades. Target their command vessels. Disrupt their formation. Don't let them regroup. The Solaran fleet, caught completely off guard, struggled to respond. Their perfect geometric formation shattered as Earth's ships attacked from multiple vectors. For the first time in thousands of years, the mighty Solaran Imperium found itself on the defensive. How many ships are they deploying? Demanded Zixforn. Our sensors have confirmed over 20,000 already, the sensor officer reported, with more still emerging from hidden bases. 20,000. The High Commander couldn't conceal his shock. That's impossible. A world at their development stage couldn't possibly. The count is still rising, Commander, interrupted the officer. New signatures are appearing throughout the system. As the battle intensified, the true scale of humanity's deception became clear. The primitive society the Solarans had observed was merely a facade. Beneath that carefully maintained veneer lay a unified, technologically advanced civilization that had dedicated 50 years to preparing for this very day. The second wave of Earth's fleet arrived, attacking from the opposite direction and catching the Solaran ships in a devastating crossfire. And still more ships were emerging, from hidden bases on Mercury, from camouflaged stations in the Kuiper Belt, from dimensional pockets that the Solaran sensors couldn't even detect. On the bridge of the Humanity's Resolve, Fleet Admiral Chen received the latest count from her tactical officer. Admiral, all forces are now deployed. 700,000 ships have entered the battle. Chen nodded grimly. Send the message to the Solaran command ship. Throughout the solar system, the battle raged as humanity's hidden armada engaged the invaders. The Solarans fought with the desperation of a predator that suddenly found itself outmatched by its intended prey. But it was already too late. They had believed humanity was weak. They couldn't have been more wrong. The Reckoning. On the Solaran command vessel, High Commander Zixforn watched in disbelief as the battle unfolded across the holographic display. His crystalline form had lost its usual lustrous shine, dulled by the shock of what was transpiring. The Solaran fleet, once the undisputed master of the Galactic arm, was being systematically dismantled by a species they had dismissed as primitive. "How could our intelligence be so wrong?" he demanded, his voice resonating with rage and fear. First Strategist Kelmira's form pulsed with distress as she processed the incoming data. "The humans deliberately deceived us, Commander. They maintained a false technological front while developing their true capabilities in secret. For how long? Based on the technological sophistication we're witnessing, at least 50 of their orbital cycles. Perhaps longer. 50 years of preparation for this moment. 50 years of humanity knowing they were being watched and methodically constructing the greatest ruse in galactic history." The realization struck Zixforn with the force of a quantum torpedo. The Imperium had gravely underestimated not just human technology, but human foresight. "All ships, execute emergency protocol Zenith 9, he commanded. "Regroup at coordinates Delta 7 and prepare for synchronized counterattack." But even as he spoke, 3 more Solaran destroyers erupted in brilliant explosions. The human vessels moved with uncanny coordination, their formations shifting like living organisms, anticipating and countering every Solaran tactic. On the bridge of the TDS Humanity's Resolve, Admiral Chen monitored the battle with calm focus. The neural interface connecting her mind directly to the ship's systems allowed her to process information at superhuman speeds. Through her, the vast human fleet moved as a single entity, each vessel an extension of her will. "The Solarans are attempting to regroup," reported Captain Rajiv Singh, her second in command. "They're falling back to Sector Delta 7. Chen nodded. "Exactly as the simulations predicted. Deploy Phase 3. Throughout the solar system, hidden antimatter mines activated, strategically placed years ago along potential retreat paths. The Solaran ships, falling back to regroup, triggered these invisible weapons. Dozens of crystalline vessels vanished in blinding flashes of energy as matter and antimatter annihilated each other. The human fleet pressed its advantage, closing in from all sides. Their weapons, gravity lances, quantum disruptors, and dimensional shears, had been specifically designed to target the unique crystalline physiology of the Solarans. Each shot found its mark with devastating precision. "Admiral," Captain Singh called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the Solaran command ship. They're requesting a ceasefire." Chen's expression remained neutral, betraying none of the satisfaction she felt. "Put it through." The holographic image of High Commander Zixforn materialized on the bridge, his crystalline form now visibly cracked in places. "Human Commander," he began, his voice carrying a resonance of disbelief, "you have achieved what no species has managed in 10,000 years. We offer terms of surrender. I'm Admiral Cassandra Chen of the Terran Defense Alliance. Your terms are not accepted, High Commander." The Solaran's crystalline surface rippled with shock. "You reject our surrender." "I reject your authority to offer terms," Chen clarified. "Your cleansing operation has forfeited any right to negotiate. However, humanity does not seek the extinction of your species. We will accept the unconditional withdrawal of all Solaran forces from this solar system, followed by formal reparations to be determined by an intergalactic tribunal." "This is unprecedented," Zixforn protested. The Solaran Imperium has never faced humanity before," Chen interrupted. "You have 30 minutes to begin your withdrawal. Any Solaran vessel remaining in this system after that time will be destroyed." She terminated the transmission with a gesture and turned to her crew. "Maintain battle positions. They may attempt one final desperate attack." Back on the Solaran command ship, Six-Forn struggled to comprehend the magnitude of their failure. The cleansing operation had turned into a catastrophic defeat, but worse than the military loss was the shattering of a worldview that had defined Solaran existence for millennia, the belief in their inherent superiority over all other life forms. First strategist, he addressed Kelmira. Analyze our options. Her crystalline form dimmed as she processed the tactical situation. We have lost 67% of our fleet. The human weaponry specifically targets our crystalline biology. Their technological capabilities exceed our current deployment. Continuation of hostilities has a 98.7% probability of resulting in total defeat. And if we comply with their demands, the Imperium survives, but our status as the dominant power in the galactic arm would be compromised. Other subjugated species might take inspiration from the human victory. Six-Forn gazed at the tactical display showing the overwhelming human fleet surrounding his remaining ships. 700,000 vessels, where they had expected to find none capable of space combat. The humans had not just prepared for defense, they had built an armada that could challenge the Imperium across the entire sector. Order the withdrawal, he finally commanded, his voice heavy with the weight of unprecedented defeat. All ships are to return to Imperium space immediately. As the Solaran vessels began their retreat, Admiral Chen monitored their movements carefully. Keep weapons locked on their engines, she ordered. At the first sign of deception, disable their drive systems. The Solarans are complying, Captain Singh confirmed. All vessels are withdrawing along the projected routes. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Send word to all fleet commanders. Phase 4 begins now. As the Solaran fleet retreated in disarray, a new phase of humanity's plan unfolded. Hidden throughout the galactic arm, human stealth ships that had been positioned years earlier suddenly activated their systems. These vessels, small, fast, and nearly undetectable, began transmitting data packets to every inhabited world under Solaran control. The information spread like wildfire. Detailed specifications of Solaran weaknesses, weapon designs tailored to combat their technology, and evidence of the devastating defeat they had just suffered at the hands of humanity. The carefully crafted narrative was clear. The Solaran Imperium was no longer invincible. Resistance was not only possible, it had already succeeded. Back in Earth's orbit, Admiral Chen addressed the unified command of the Terran Defense Alliance. Military leaders from every nation stood together in the virtual space, their avatars representing the unprecedented global unity that had made this victory possible. The immediate threat has been neutralized, she reported. The Solaran fleet has withdrawn beyond the Heliobos. Our stealth operatives confirm that the information packets have been successfully delivered to 87 previously subjugated worlds. General Williams nodded in approval. The ripple effect has already begun. We're receiving reports of uprisings in 3 star systems. The Imperium's control is fracturing. What about Earth? Asked the representative from the African Union. Do we maintain the deception? Chen shook her head. The time for hiding is over. Implementation of the Revelation Protocol can begin immediately. The public will learn the truth gradually over the next 6 months. The real level of our technology, the existence of the Alliance, and our place in the galactic community. And if the Solarans return? Inquired the Chinese delegate. They won't, not in force, Chen replied confidently. Our intelligence indicates their entire society is in turmoil. The myth of Solaran invincibility was the foundation of their empire. Without it, they face internal rebellions and external challenges across thousands of worlds. She gestured to the holographic display showing Earth's massive fleet now dispersing to defensive positions throughout the solar system. Besides, she added, we're no longer pretending to be defenseless. The next would-be conqueror will face humanity's full strength from the beginning. In the months that followed, Earth underwent a transformation unlike any in human history. The hidden technological marvels developed in secret over 5 decades were gradually revealed to the public. Cities were rebuilt with advanced materials that could self-repair. Energy production shifted entirely to zero-point generators, eliminating pollution and resource scarcity virtually overnight. Medical technology leaped forward centuries, curing diseases that had once been death sentences. But perhaps the most profound change was psychological. Humanity had faced an existential threat and prevailed through unity, foresight, and ingenuity. The petty conflicts that had divided nations for centuries seemed trivial in comparison to the challenges and opportunities of their new galactic status. 6 months after the battle, Admiral Chen stood on the observation deck of the orbital station Unity, watching as the first official diplomatic vessels from other star systems approached Earth. The Solaran defeat had reshuffled the power dynamics of the entire galactic arm. Former vassal species of the Imperium now sought alliances with the newcomers who had accomplished the impossible. "Quite a view," General Williams commented as he joined her by the viewport. "Indeed," Chen agreed. "How are the treaty negotiations progressing?" "Better than expected. 17 species have already signed the Mutual Defense Accord. The Galactic Council has formally recognized Earth's territorial claims to the entire solar system, and we've been granted observer status pending full membership." Chen nodded, her eyes fixed on the distant stars. "And the Solarans? Their empire continues to fragment. 3 major provinces have declared independence, and dozens of smaller rebellions are ongoing. Their representatives are practically begging for peace talks." "Schedule them for next month," Chen decided. "Let them wait a little longer." Williams studied her profile. Was this always the plan? Not just to defend Earth, but to break the Imperium's hold on the galaxy? Chen turned to face him, her expression solemn. "When we first detected their scout ships 50 years ago, we had a choice: hide and hope they'd leave us alone, or prepare for the confrontation we knew would eventually come. Humanity chose to prepare. Everything that followed was simply the logical extension of that decision." She gestured toward the approaching alien ships, their exotic designs representing species that had lived under Solaran domination for millennia until humanity showed them another way was possible. "We knew the Solarans would underestimate us. They'd built their entire civilization on the presumption of their superiority. Their arrogance made them predictable. We didn't just build ships and weapons. We constructed an entire false reality for them to observe and dismiss. The greatest deception in galactic history," Williams mused. "And the most necessary," Chen added. "They believed humanity was weak because that's what we wanted them to believe. The moment they acted on that belief was the moment they lost." As the diplomatic vessels docked with the station, Admiral Chen straightened her uniform and prepared to welcome the first official extraterrestrial ambassadors to Earth. Humanity had not only survived its first major interstellar crisis, it had emerged as a galactic power. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now represented not just possibility but destiny. Humanity had been tested and had proven itself not through brute force alone, but through patience, planning, and the unwavering determination that had always been its greatest strength. The Solarans had believed humanity was weak. The entire galaxy now knew better.